All right, okay, we're doing it. We're doing it. We're
We do.
finally starting our podcast. So
Oh man.
here's what should we do, okay?
Yeah.
So we're gonna ask each other three each questions,
Yeah.
okay? Like one. We're gonna first start with like what we're doing, like what are we doing, what is this podcast is about, and
Yeah.
then we're gonna introduce each other, like who are we, what we've been through, and then who we are, and then after that we're just gonna talk about what's next. All right.
What's our podcast name though?
Our podcast name is Figuring Out. Figuring Out. Okay, so the idea,
Figuring figuring it out, right?
figure it out. Yes, yes. Because like, yesterday I talked to Patya and Patya say like figuring out is like or like you're ordering and you're telling
Yeah.
someone to figure out. But if you figure it out, it's more like you're in the middle of something. So I think this is us. This is us. Like this is us because
Yeah.
I feel like last week that's the reason why I just like call you like dude, we gotta do this podcast because I feel like we all get always talking about it, like always talking about it, like dude, like what are we gonna do? How are we gonna figure it out? Like we just keep talking to each other, like this is the way we figure it out. This is what we do, like what we should do, what we should do the next step. And then we were like, okay, like so we keep talking and why don't we just record it? And then also invite people that been figuring out, like they are the beginning of the figuring out. That's number one. Like us, we're in the beginning of it, right? We just got out of college, the beginning of it,
Yeah.
or someone in the middle of it that's figuring out, which is like around 30 years old, 25. Like it's been already in the process of figuring out, or third person is already figure it out, like they're done, like 60 years old, 70 years old, they're close to retire. They now need to figure out something they already did. So the third
Hey.
person that we're gonna invite in this future podcast, we're just gonna invite people and talk about it
Hey.
and figuring
Nice.
out. So what do you think? Okay, what do you think? Like, what do you wanna get out
Oh,
from this podcast?
if anyone's watching, if there's any audience, the idea is completely Ege's. So if this podcast becomes successful, he takes all the credit.
Oh my God, no.
If this goes to trash can, he takes all the responsibility.
I'll take it. I'll take it all day. All right.
I don't know. I'm just following orders from you,
Jeez.
boss.
Okay.
Yeah.
So why don't you start like telling just tell me who you are. Can you a little bit introduce yourself? Like who is
Who
Hiroki?
I am? Yes. My name is Hiroki. I competed for Idaho State for 4 years. Last year I did a graduate assistant at Seattle University, and this year I'm doing GA at University of Toledo. So I've been to three different Division 1 schools.
Okay.
I'm proud of it. I'm still figuring it out. I'm still figuring out, how to become a better coach and, be delivering the message more effectively.
Okay. All right. That's sick. That's
Yeah.
sick. Okay. Did mention it like you've been to three different schools, like three different schools. So what was the what was like a mutual thing? Like you see like all that three schools like had the same thing. Like did you feel like it? Like, okay, these something like that three, that's something that I see in that three schools.
Mm, good question. I would say characteristics
Okay.
of a player. I mean, everyone's a bit different, but I see like the same type of behavior or characteristics
Mm-hmm.
in all three teams, and maybe team dynamic as well. I think each team has like sort of captain, not necessarily, like the actual captain, but
Leaders.
you see the guys, leading the team a little bit. So captain and the follower and someone's who sometimes goes against the flow, and yeah, team dynamics and personality, I would say.
Okay.
Yeah.
And also yes, there's some mutual. There's the things like all you see in that three schools. What about the difference? Okay, from Toledo to Seattle.
Yeah,
What's the difference between Toledo and Seattle? And then what's the what was the different things like you experienced or you figured out from Seattle to Idaho State? And
yeah.
then what did you figure out things from
Mm.
Idaho State to back in Japan, you in your junior times, like when you competed
Damn.
back
Okay.
in Japan. So
Yeah.
you can start with from Toledo to Seattle. What did you figure out?
What did I figure out? I would say uh out of those three schools, the guys here in Toledo, they probably are the most passionate about tennis. And I would put Idaho State as second.
Okay.
And no offense to the guys in Seattle, but I would put them last. Um, for example, in Idaho State, we wanted to win, and we spent as much time as we can on court. But let's say if we have to practice for 3 hours, when it's usually 2 hours, we would be like, damn, 3 hours on court. That's a lot. I feel like these guys, the guys here in Toledo, they can probably spend 4 or 5 hours on court and they wouldn't complain. I think that's a good thing. I think mainly because some of the guys, they want to go pro after they graduate. So I really like the mindset of the guys here. Seattle, the team got cut right after I left, so they knew it was their last year. Uh, so yeah, they just wanted to have fun, not necessarily get better. I mean, they probably wanted to get better, but it was hard to help them get better because they were kind of like they were kind of just there because they had to, you know.
Mhm.
That's what I figured out.
That's why I figure out.
Yeah.
For example, you you're a player, right? And then
That
in
Coke, healthy.
we block we block that. We put some sense with that. All right, so you're not a coach, let's say. You
Yeah,
were a player in that three different institution. Okay, like you
yeah.
were player in Toledo, player in Seattle, and
Mhm.
player at I mean you were out at Idaho State. So
Yeah.
what would you do in that position? Okay, so you're Seattle, and you
Mhm.
see like the team is like they know that they're going to get cut, and how would you like yeah, you were part of the being the coach, but like how would you as a player, what would you do with them? Like what how would you motivate them to just like okay, what what can you make the most out of it your last semester? Okay, last year. This is your last year and then you guys like probably not gonna play again. So if you were a player, yeah, you did your best. I know like, probably you did your best as a coach and then what would you do when you're on the team still playing? What would you do with them?
Damn.
Because you know that's gonna be your last semester as well, last year as
Yeah,
well.
yeah, 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 yeah. As a player, right? Not
As
as a
a
coach.
player, as a player, yes, as a player.
As a player, I think in Seattle, um, I would probably maybe have a meeting or something and see. We'll try to figure out what our goal is
Hmm.
because I think, you know, intrinsic and extrinsic motivation. And I think outside motivation, like extrinsic motivation, there's a limit. I mean, I can't give them a reward every time we practice or, anything like that. So I think we needed to find something that motivates us from within. So maybe do a meeting a few times and, trying to figure out, okay, this is our last year. And after this, our team's gonna get cut. Let's leave something, you know, or yeah, something like that. Toledo, I would say okay, no offense again, but the guys are compared to the guys in Seattle, the guys here are, I think, a bit younger, and I wouldn't say immature, but they need someone to take the lead and kind of keep them in line,
Mhm.
in a way, in a good way.
Okay.
So, if I was a player here, I'll try to be I'll try to be more like a leader and, kind of like Andy or Gary. Andy's by the way, Andy's captain at Idaho State University.
Hey, he will be next guest. Don't worry.
Next
He will
is
come back. He'll come.
uh,
He'll come and he will talk about it as well and how we lead our team. At Idaho State. And then I hope we will be have more people.
yeah,
This like we starting with our people that influence us. I think like you
sure.
mentioned it a bit. Yeah, Andy and you mentioned.
Gary G too. Gary G.
Huh?
Gary G.
Gary G. Oh, I
Big
can't wait.
influence.
I can't wait to
Powerful.
hear what
Uh,
Gary G figured out. Like, especially he was Gary G was when we were freshmen. He was our senior,
uh,
and like I feel like we did not know anything. Like I was we kind of talk about like, okay, first time we got to college, man. Like
mhm,
I remember my junior time. I feel like I know everything, like I'm just like, okay, going to this tournament, traveling there, traveling this, like the rankings and everything. Okay, perfect. I know everything. But I was like, and then I always wanted to go to college and got accepted to college. And then on the way, and I got on the plane, as soon as I landed, as soon as I get to this campus, I feel like I didn't know anything. Like I was just like blank. And like just didn't know. And then we were like, damn, like what we're gonna do. Um and now I started remembering that feeling more. Now, like I'm coaching this freshmen, like the way they act, the way they like feel, they telling me what they feel and what they've been through, that they mistakes and everything. I was just like, I forgot that we've been through those as well. Like freshman year, like, dude, don't you remember? Like freshman year, like we were just like I had no idea what's going on. It was COVID, and we didn't play any fall tournament. We were with around the team all the time, which I think we were so lucky with that, in a way that building the culture, but also we didn't compete at all in the fall, and just like learning, and just
mhm.
making mistakes, even though our English was shit. Probably the group probably couldn't speak very well English. I remember like some practices, like some things that Coach Free was talking about it, like I was like, probably I did not understand half of it at all. Like even like
Okay.
70% of it, I did not understand it, like literally.
Yeah.
And like a year later, I was like, okay,
Uh-huh.
like I feel like he talked about this a year ago, but I was like,
Yeah.
understand now. I was like such a simple thing. And I was like, how I cannot understand it? How did I not understand this? And I think like year goes on. I think figuring out, learning and learning. And I think I feel like I learned what I learned the most
Mhm.
throughout the year. Like, I think I learned more than year before. Like every year, I think we learn something, and I think like what I learned about the undergrad, like freshman year, I just realized it. I learned it today, like this year, because I was like, okay, I just get out of that picture, and then now like I'm working with those kind of guys, and then I was like, oh, okay, now I know that I learned that because now I'm trying to coach and trying to teach them, okay, this is like I remember this feeling. I remember seeing, and then look, and now that's okay, it goes well. So a year
Mhm.
later and a year later, I think that was the number one thing. Like just year goes on, year goes on, and we're figuring out, we're
Mhm.
figuring out.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I mean, that's one of the reasons I decided to coach as well, because we as a freshman made so many mistakes and so many things that we could have done better.
Mhm.
And I just want to be able to, teach young guys not to make the same mistakes again, same mistakes as us, or, help them through our experience in a way.
Hmm. So yeah, like I think it's leading to my next question, Hiroki, with this with your answer like this. Like, okay, so here we
Mm.
are, you're Toledo. I think we've been talking about this a million times. Like we're both graduating in May.
Yeah,
I have no idea
yeah,
what the next step will be, right? We will like just keep talking. What could it be? What could it like what kind of road we can take? And that's the reason we're doing this. Like we're
yeah,
inviting people and asking them questions like, what did you do? Like now we are seeking this information from them.
yeah,
So a question to you, like, okay, in the best scenario,
yeah.
like let's say you have no concerns about, let's say, H1B, like you can get work visa. You have no concern about it. You can get any job, right? What scenario can you see yourself next year? Like let's start with next year. Okay, you got the best job.
Mhm.
What could be the best job for you? Like it can be unrealistic. It can be just like, you don't have to say a name. You don't have to
Mhm.
say the school. But what could be the environment? What would the environment be? Like just
I
tell me.
think if if I go the unrealistic way, I would probably coach at one of the best schools just for 1 year
As an assistant coach?
as an assistant coach, yeah. Just so I can learn how to get to that level, because I feel like I can teach someone to get to my level, but I don't know how to go further than that. So, yeah, or maybe if I'm going unrealistic, maybe become one of the coaching members for Sinner or Alcaraz,
Mhm.
and see how they got there. Then I think my coaching career would be over after that because now I know how to get there. It's like I solved all the questions. There's
Mhm.
left, nothing else left to learn. So
When
yeah,
you
I
get there,
just I just want to know how to get there, and then maybe after a year or two, I might continue coaching to help other people get there, or just quit coaching because it just feels good
you
to
feel
know
accomplished.
know everything. Yeah, yeah, feel accomplished.
Yeah, actually, yesterday I got the chance to talk with one of my not like my friends. He's like older than me, just like he's like 5, 6 years older than me, and he's been more coaching more than me, of course, like 5 years later. And we talked to him like for an hour, and then I was like, "Hey man, like I'm trying to figure out like what do you think?" Like he's like, it was interesting call because 2 days ago, actually, Pat said the same thing. Like sometimes you always like thinking about something, like you have a question in your mind, and then randomly someone answers that question or tell that
Mm,
question that you were thinking. Like it's just like so randomly, and then you're like, oh, what the heck? Like I was just literally thinking about it.
yeah.
And Pate said the same thing. And when I was talking to him, apparently I said something, and he's like, "Oh man, like this is exactly what I was thinking." And then yesterday, my friend, exactly the same thing happened to me. Like I was talking to him, like, "Hey man, like I'm not going back home this December. Like I'm staying in the US. Like I'm just trying to figure out what should I do. Like because I feel like what I want to do in the future and where I am right now, like I'm trying to find some steps towards there. Like and then I think, and then in December, is there any steps that I can take that December, like I get closer to my goal?" And we were talking. He's like, "All right, like I want you to think about it." And he said, like, let's say snap a finger and you're in that goal right now. Like, what is missing? Like he's like, what's missing in that when you get to that point, what's missing? So like you just say, I told him like, hey, I want to be a coach at the pro level. I hope like one day and then I will coach pro level and then travel around the world. And then he's like, okay, you snap there and you there. what do you know? Like, what do you know? Like, what do you know to do good in that job? Okay, do you know anything about the tour schedule? Like how the tour schedule work? No. Do you know anything like have you ever traveled with a player, any level though, any level that like in let's say 10, 12 weeks on the road, have you traveled? He's like, no. Have you ever experienced someone that like you're traveling, let's say, yes, let's say you did travel. Have you ever experienced like player that lost 10 weeks in a row? Like something like downward, the level is not gonna, everything goes bad. Have you ever worked in that? No. And have you ever worked someone that 12 weeks, like doing the best and then like in upwards? Have you ever worked that? I was like, no, as well. Like, hey man, I mean these kind of things really important. Like the people that are in that position, because they've been through all this. And he was saying that like you have to keep putting yourself in a position, those kind of positions to get there. You know, you learn from it, and then in order to get there, that's like how you have to put yourself in a position. You have to expose, you have to get those exposures, you know, like because yes, everybody has a goal, but yes, you have a goal, you get there, but what's missing? Like what happened to get there? I think like I was like, damn, you're so right. And then we talk about okay, you want to be a pro coach, right? We want to be a pro level, and how likely you're working with the player development. I was like, okay, like we're in college, in college level, yes, it's perfect. But yeah, you're working with them like 12, like 9 months, like, you know, not like 12 months, like, or like not all the time, not full time because we have 8 hours, 20 hours. Like, yeah, like we gotta think about this way as well. Maybe he said to me on the like, maybe you wanna like be a college coach, yes, like things like helping you to get to the pro level. But you're not putting then yourself in position that much to get there. Maybe like kind of step back. Maybe like starting in a academy, like maybe like playing like going to like a big academy, like a junior academy, having like 10, 12 junior kids to develop them. You like travel with them, like 10, 12, like 10, 12 experience. Kind of, you see them, and then you get those experiences, take those steps. You can still come back here again, and then you will be more valuable because instead of you're here, you put yourself in the position those there, and you're there. Instead of like waiting here to hoping that you're getting there. Like you just gotta take those steps. And I was like, damn, like that's
Like, who told you that? Pat.
no, not Pat. One of my friend back at home. He
Mm.
lives in Miami right now, and he also worked with like he worked with one of the junior girl like was no rank juniors and then she become like top 200 juniors and he
Mm.
also traveled with a couple WTA players. So he's been doing this job like for like let's say 6 7 years. He's still figuring out. Like he said like, hey dude, don't get me wrong, I'm still figuring out. He made this where I actually said that. I was like, I'm still figuring out. I was like, okay. Okay, if you're still figuring out, I'm gonna use this story in our podcast because
Actually, yeah, your question kind of opened a new perspective on me because I feel like when we are young, we have this big unrealistic dream. Oh, I want to go pro. I want to be world number one or whatever.
Mhm.
And you chase the dream every day, right? You're trying to figure out what steps I need to take to get there. But I feel like since I retired, I'm kind of I was kind of being realistic in a bad way. I feel like I'm just okay, what's available? Okay, what are the jobs or opportunities around me, you
Mhm.
know? I didn't really think about, okay, if I can do anything, what would I want to do? I never thought that way since I retired and kind of opened up a new perspective. Um,
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
good.
I think, I mean, it's also there's different factors, right? Like okay, like let's say financial, all right. So
Yeah.
yes, you want to be a college coaching, yes, everything is fine, but maybe like salary is really low and um,
Mm,
what you what's more important for you? I think uh other day Andrew told me that as well. Like for the next job, you like when you interviewing people, you gotta figure out what's most important for you. What's important for you?
mm,
What do you value? Like, okay, some people said that's my dream to be in college coaching, and then I don't care what the money is. But okay, you say you don't care, but okay, in a couple of years when bills started coming around, or if you want to build a life, and then yeah, you need the money, and or let's say you're in a junior level, and okay, you have to deal with their parents, like yeah, that's another thing. Yes, you learn to develop players, but juniors. Yes, but their parents, that's good. You have to deal with them because in college, you invest in the players, right? And then like you kind of a little bit of a not the power, but like you pick them. And
Mm,
then junior levels, they pick you, they pay you, like they pay your salary, like they expect something from you. And that's another thing. Yes, you're making more money, but you're dealing with this kind of stuff. And then he also talk about like, okay, you want to be on the tour, right? Like you want to be a tour, yeah, you want to just travel around the world, like let's say 20 weeks, and but you will have like literally no life. Maybe you're not gonna, life is not always gonna be good. Like for example, on the tour, like players on the tour, they never make money every week. You know,
mm,
like he said, that's what he said. Like let's say 10 weeks in a row, the player is losing. That means you're not making a single dollar. 10 months, like 10 weeks.
mm,
Yes, you want to be in the tour, but there's a possibility you're not gonna make a single money. And or another way is talk to Pat about it. Like you travel all the time, like China, friends, and Europe. Yes, perfect. You're seeing new places, but like he always on the road. Like you are never have a set place, and some people just want to be like or set a life. Like that could be like sometimes tough for people. Yeah.
mm,
And I think that we're lucky a little bit. We're young, so we can easily adjust. Like we just move to the different city. Yeah, like move to Statesboro. Yeah, move to Toledo. Move to Seattle. Yeah, just pack our stuff and go. But a year goes on, and next thing is like, okay, let's say we get married, like we have a wife, and yes, you have to think about two, and then a couple of years later, if you have kids, you have to think about three, and things are getting harder and harder and harder in the decision. So that's another reason we're trying to figure out what's the best route. I think every route, like everyone is a different route, but with what's best for us. What's best for like people around, like people watching this, maybe we can invite people and then they hear those like, okay, and that step that
mm,
somebody else take, okay, I can take the next step, and it helped me go make me go one step further. And then Hiroki said something, Hiroki step, I added Ege step. Let's say
mm,
Andy next week, Andy step, Vickers, and boom, boom, boom. Maybe we have someone that listen this and then adding the pieces, the steps together as steps one to another, and then get their goal somewhere faster or get them closer.
mm.
And that's another way we're doing this.
That's a goal, right?
Uh, yeah, man.
Oh, it's my turn now to ask
Huh?
questions. It's my turn to ask questions.
Okay, go for it. Ask question.
First question. Um, let's talk about balance because I feel like balance is something that I was missing as a player, and I see often in at least from my experience, you know, I see it missing from tennis players in general. Um, for example, I think tennis, I think in at least in college level, we have this bad cycle. Because you play every weekend, let's say you lose a match or you play bad, and you go, oh, why did I play so bad? And then you start thinking about tennis more, thinking that, you know, if you think about tennis more, you're gonna get better.
Mm,
And you think a lot off the court. And then because you're thinking too much, you struggle more on court. Because I think one of the reasons is tennis is like very technical, but at the same time, it's very reactive, right? So if there's too much thinking in your head, it's gonna slow you down and you play worse. And you play worse, you think more off the court and you play even worse, this bad cycle. And I think I got stuck in that cycle a little bit when I was a player. And I see some guys also getting stuck in that loop. And I tell them, forget about tennis, the more you think about tennis, the worse you play. Just forget about it so that you can spend more energy on court thinking about tennis. But they're still stuck. They seem to not really understand the loop.
Mhm.
So what do you so I think having this healthy relationship with tennis, I think it's very important. I think everything is about balance. You want to win, good. But if you want to win, if you focus too much on the result, you play worse. You know, you love tennis, but if you think too much about tennis, you play worse. So I think having that good balance in everything is, I think a key to success in this. So what do you think?
Oh, yeah. I think, like I said again, I feel like now I understand it. I know better when it's done. Like for example, now when I started coaching and then like you said, like seeing them in that position and I realized I been there and then I was like, okay, wow, that's what I did or that's what I didn't do. That's what I should have done better. Because when you're in that moment, you never have a chance to, sometimes like you never have a chance to just step back and see yourself, like what you do. I remember when I was in junior year and like I had so many times, like so many matches, I was thinking so much other than tennis, let's say, but tennis related, like other than to just play, like you say. I was thinking about like rankings. I was thinking about, okay, if I win this, if I win that, like my points gonna go up. I could go to better school. Okay, I'm gonna be in the next ranking. Like beside tennis, other than anything, tennis. And then you started like thinking more, playing bad, and then you go down, 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 and it's like, hey, like what's gonna stop you there? What's gonna just get that trend to go up? And I see like sometimes like in the back my juniors, like I want to start with that. Like, okay, I will one of my best tournaments. I went there, like I was just okay. I just want to have fun. Like I'm not winning. Like I'm like playing. Tell I lose every week. I'm thinking about too much. I just want to go there and like just want to compete. I just want to have fun. And then I had my best tournament. Like even after first win, sometimes what happens like you said that and then you win and then you like start thinking again, like you just like pump up again. Okay, everything's fine, but no. And I think that tournament, I don't know why, maybe like I was with my friends all the time and with my family, just like just want to have fun, like because that tournament, like maybe like 2, 3 hours, go play a match and then take care of everything and then go home and spend the time with them. I didn't have time to think about tennis too much, and I had my best tournament. So, and then I remember in college, first year, oof, like I think. I was just like not. I lost all of my matches in college freshman year. That was all of them. And I was like thinking about too much tennis and too much tennis, and I realized I look back is like my level wasn't enough. Like my level wasn't enough. I wasn't practicing well. And maybe like I practiced a lot, but like my level is not there. And I was stressing about my level wasn't there, and I put in my too much pressure there, too much pressure on myself. And then when I get to the court, it's like okay, I have to play someone that better myself. Not like if I play myself, if I play my level, I will be lose. And that's why I try to play too much and I just put too much pressure and lose anyways. So I think, and then like started practicing more, just wait. I feel like the time helped me. And then sophomore year, that's why I started playing better because you just wait, your level go up, it's just as a process. Your level go out, you wait for it, and then when you get to the court, I think you just gotta be yourself. Like gotta be I think you gotta be just play someone like not someone that you're not. So it just you just like I think it comes down to what you do, like what you do every day, you know? Like, okay, I know this is my level, you're trusting it, and then when you go out there, you have to just do that. You just your level. Because when you don't trust yourself, the things that you do every day, I feel like that's puts you in a top position. That stress you the most. And then same thing with junior, same like level dropped down because wasn't practicing well and everything. And then for year because we all want to do good, we all putting a really good effort day to day. I think we practice. I think like in our fourth like senior year, I think we practice good every day. Like I don't remember we had some like bad practices. Like seriously, I was like.
Really?
Maybe like from you, like sometimes you were in your period. Uh, but for example, do you remember like the week of Utah State BYU? Like I remember that week so well. I remember that week so well because like 2 weeks before that week, you you were like so like not negative. Like you were like always pissed. You were trying to practice so hard. I remember like I was like okay, and like at home you were so you're so tense. Like keep watching tennis, but not like in a like bad way. Like I know like in a bad way, and then we get to Utah State. We're playing number two lines because we usually play three. We get to the two. So we played line two, something like our higher level. And then we started acting like we have to play someone that better ourselves. And we already tense. We already were so tight and we have to perform that someone else, someone that be a better version of ourselves. And then we screwed. Like we lost. I think we lost pretty bad. Like and then we had a fight on court. I remember BYU match, and then like it was like, okay, we have to talk. I think that after that talk, I think we lost one match, like two matches, something like two matches. Yes. So we senior year we were record is 15-4, 15-5. Okay. That week we got two. So that before that weekend we lost one, two in that BYU Utah State, and then we lost two more after that, and we won 10 or 11 matches. Like we had like a streak, like 6, 7 streak. I think that talk, I think what we say to each other that day, like, dude, like we have to just be ourselves, like we have to talk more, like we have to like really enjoy what we do. I think and like gotta enjoy it like, because enjoy your level, enjoy what you do every day. Not like stressing about the things that you don't do every day. And then when you get to the court, you're doing something that you never done or you're playing something that bigger than yourself. And I think that's helped us a lot after that our talk. I remember you said to that as well, like, hey, I know like I was so tense. I feel like putting my too much pressure. And I was like, yes, man, I feel like we just gotta trust what we do every day and practice, like enjoy our practices, enjoy our day-to-day work. And I think that day-to-day work help us to increase level. I think when you're answering your question, it's just like players usually get tired or putting too much pressure on themselves because they don't they don't perform or they think they try to do the things that they don't do every day. And when you get to the court and when they get there, I feel like they act like someone that they begin themselves and they don't just go back to day-to-day thing that they do every day. I think that's number one thing. They just keep remembering like what I do every day.
Yeah.
Or they have to change what they do every day as well. So if the things that they don't help them on the court day-to-day things, so that means they have to change what they do every day. Okay, I have to maybe practice more intentionally. Okay, like I shouldn't be just tanking the practice, right? I shouldn't be just like go out there and hit balls. Go out there, just hit balls. Or go out there, just like man, for example, I hate teams that listen. I hate, for example, listening music and playing tennis. Like playing like listening music and practice. I feel like I hated it. I hated it. I feel like you never actually focus. You never think because I remember one day we were listening music, we were in practice. I would just start singing instead of focusing on what I do, like what we do. Like I forgot the drill. I forgot what we do. Like I was just singing the song. I was like, dude, like this is bad. Like you gotta change like how you practice, I think, like how you do the day to day. Not just listening music, just hit some balls. That never. I think that never works.
I mean, let's make an excuse that I was very tense. You know, just like you listening to music during practice. I got really frustrated one time because when we were warming up and you were holding like a three balls on your,
Yeah.
I'm like, is this guy taking this warm up seriously? I was like, come on, put those balls in your pocket and just, hit the volleys properly. But obviously I didn't, say that. But I think
Yeah.
it felt from my, facial expression.
No, no, I like yeah, I never did that again. After that, you said that I was like, dude, this guy's so right.
It
Like,
doesn't, it
and now
doesn't.
I started seeing it actually. Now, like with my players, like those things adds up. Like those things, like okay, holding three balls in your hand and then hitting volley. Like you're getting nothing in that volleys probably. Like you're not a coach. Don't coach the guy. Yeah, you were right. Or hey, the guy that wears a hat every single practice and doesn't come with a hat in that practice. That means that guy's not ready. Like that things adds up. Or like let's say Patty, like do you remember Patty Kuhn was wearing his arm sleeve every single practice, and one day he show up with no arm sleeves. Like that shows that that guy like he's not ready that day. Like he's not gonna get anything that day. I think that's kind of things like those small things, or hitting like the guy that never does like drop shots, like never, let's say never, and then try goes drop shot behind the baseline. That shows like okay, that's not the things that you do every day. Or let's say like hitting one-handed backhand, like you're a two-handed backhand guy. Why are you hitting one-handed? Like you're not doing that every day. Like I think that's that kind of things really, really, really important. That adds up the pressure you have pressure on the court. I think like everything in your life as well. I think if we don't just specifically with tennis, like just talking about the life as well. Like I think what you stress you the most, it's like okay, you wanna be something that you're not. Like okay, like or like that's stressing you out. Like a new job that like let's say if I become a basketball coach, I will probably be stressing out like what I'm gonna do. You know, like no, I don't know what I'm doing. So you just gotta in your career, like just trusting what you do every day, and then just I think be yourself. I think that's what I learned. Like that's what I figure out in that 2 years in coaching here, and then 4 years in college. That's what I figured out. I think that's in 2 years of figuring out period. That's I figured out. Just be yourself. Be yourself and trust what you do every day.
Very good.
Yeah, if I at least I found some. I found one. Like I think that's it. Yeah, I reckon, yeah.
Uh, Very simple, very typical. Best thing and the worst thing that happened to you as a coach. I can start because recently. I think best thing for me is those little things. For example, I think it was practice yesterday. I taught one of the guys love return for doubles, which I used to do a lot as a player.
Lob return. Okay. Chip lob, huh?
Because he was struggling with the back end return, I think. And then I told him, uh, oh, you can just lob it, and at least you can put the ball back in and make them play. And it was during practice, and he did it, and then he hit the lob return. Both of them moved up to the net and finished with a clean volley, and they won the point. And then the player looked at me and went like started smiling, and that was like one of the best feelings, because I felt like a teacher who knows the answer for the questions that students can't solve,
That's that's the best feeling.
best feeling. And also the worst feeling was also recent. The one of our guys was playing features, and his opponent was very patient, and he just puts everything back. And what happens against those guys is that usually you start rushing and you make more errors.
Hmm.
I knew that, so I told him to stay patient and play with his pace. and then he won the set. He played great, and he almost he was winning in the second set. But then looking back, I think he should have been. He was patient, but uh he was too passive in the second set because his opponent starts to hit a little more.
Mhm.
I was I was on the side coaching him, so I could have just told him to maybe, okay, you can stay patient, but you can still be a little more aggressive. But at that time, he wanted to win, and I also wanted him to win. So I was scared to tell him to go a little more because then if he starts missing, then our plan is screwed.
Yeah.
He eventually lost the match.
Oh my God. Dude, I think yeah, that's the worst feeling. Like that's the worst feeling. I feel like you start like you're telling someone like I hate, for example, when the guys ask me this point, which side they should take. Oh my God. I was like, man, whatever you said is like if you say something, if you say like, okay, go this side, and he wins it, oh my God, you're the man. And you said this side, and he goes and does it. I was like, okay, what the fuck? I was like, I hate that. Like they ask, for example, this point, where should I go? And like I didn't have that much last year with the senior group, like freshman group, they ask more, and then like that kind of questions they ask a lot, and you're like, oh shit. And then I think I learned from the Andrew a lot as well that, and then from last year group, I think when you're coaching them, you like you during the match, there's so limited what you can control. Like this, like I think like really minimal like percentages that you say something and you just change the whole entire match and it wins. I think like that's really like let's say 30% of the match. Like you can change maximum 30% of the match. I think what helps the most the guys like what you said in the practice, say it again in the match as well. Like things you do day to day, like every day. Hey, like do you remember like when we worked on like okay after you serve you're getting more for your forehands, right? You like what you get creating offense when you have like after the serve you're getting a lot of forehands. Like hey, like do you remember in the practice like we were working on how can we get you more forehands, what serve's gonna give you the more forehands? Oh, like yes, like okay, I let's say using the ad side using T and say I'm open up more court or like that kind of stuff. So I think that's like the best feeling. I started having the best feeling like that because like, okay, the guy is not saying that, okay, this what the heck is this guy talking about? Like that's the common thing. Do you remember like when we were a player, we said probably many times like, okay, what the heck is this guy saying? Like that's the most thing, okay. But if you say things that you just say in the practice, the player never gonna say that, what the heck is this guy saying? Because probably you said that a million times. Like it's not like okay, for example, in the match, he started seeing if the guy's slicing, they're gonna start winning. But this guy, like, terrible at slicing. And you go up to him and say, like, hey, dude, slice more. I think the guy's like, I mean, I'm so shit at slice. Like, why? I mean, of course, you should have work on it. Like, at least he has something like he can use it. That will be amazing. I'm like, but the scenario is that he has, like, let's say he never drop shots. And then you go up to him, like, hey, drop shot, drop shot. And then the guy's like, me, drop shot? Like, I never drop shot. Like, and then you like started losing every single point, and he looks at you, Ege, you told me this drop shot, and it doesn't work. And of course, it doesn't work because the guy's never drop shot it before. Think I started seeing that. Okay, when I was a player, I hate the thing that I hear from the coach that like, what the heck is this guy saying? And now I was okay. This, how can I just say something that the guy's not gonna say? What the heck is he saying? Because I said that already. Like I said that already to him, or I explained to him already. Because in the match, I mean, let's say we have a French guy. In the beginning, his English wasn't that good. And now he's good in English, but in the beginning, his English not good. And during the match, stress, like high stress, and then I don't have time, or I like, or he doesn't have a capacity to understand what I'm saying. But I don't have a time to explain him there. but I explained in the practice, and I was like, okay, did you remember I said? Do you remember that word? Exaggerating. That was the word. Like, you know what exaggerating means? Yes. Do you remember what I explained to you in the practice? Hey, don't exaggerate or don't do this. Like that's just a example. I think that's definitely the best feeling that things you do every day and you tell them and then it works. The worst feeling is that kind of things, to this point, which side should I say? Which side should I choose? Yeah, definitely.
Do you think players, or as a coach, we should have players work on variety? Let's say drop shots. You mentioned slice too. Uh, you know, for them to understand and be able to use those skills in matches. Do you think we should work on it, or should we build, or should we work on what they already have and make those skills better so that when you, yeah, which one do you think?
I
Or the
think I think depends on when is it. Like when. Like if during the season, I think that's why I was like thinking the other day, like college is a little bit different. Like if you're in, let's say, in junior level, you kind of can make your own schedule and okay, you started building on something and you can try to add another tool and if still hasn't there yet, you can maybe kind of schedule later. But I think with college we really have set schedule like when you do things. I feel like in the spring, if the guy has like a terrible slice, like or like let's say he never does backhand down the line and you're in March, you're in February, almost 1 month in the season in individuals, I don't think it's a good idea to work on it. But if you're losing like okay, like I think it's like there's an optimal level with that. Okay, he losing a lot of points with that. Okay, she's still working on it, but not in February. But if let's say we're in August, you see like the guys really need to get those continental grip. Like he's okay. Yeah, you see a capacity. You see a capacity that he's gonna get better. We started working on it, and then in August, and September, October, like in the fall season, and then once we get to January, it's ready. I think is depends on the time. If we give a specific answer, yeah, if we give a specific answer, I feel like in the fall, 50-50, like 50% you work on things that like their strength, or maybe a little bit less than 50-50 like work on their strength that makes it, make sure like he keeps that strength going. And then a little more like 60%, like 46, like 60%, you try to add them a tool, add them a things that they can like, use or like things that they're doing bad, like you get them a little bit better. But I think in the spring is 70 at like 80 at 80-20, 70-20, 70% their strength, their game. Make sure you're doing that every day so that when he gets to court, he does it. And 30% like things that say he doesn't do good.
So let's say in spring season, right? Let's say in March, one of your guys is playing against someone, and you see you're by the court side watching their match, and you see, oh, if he could just hit a drop shot, a few times, he's gonna win easily. But he doesn't have the capacity to hit that shot. What what would you tell?
March, I think like
He can work on drop shots,
yeah, I think still nothing. I feel like
so
the
he needs to find a way without. He needs to find a way to win without.
yeah, that just be yourself and then think that you do every day. I feel like that's the we love like remember we talk about the tennis like we love to see the players that have their own games. Like we love to watch those guys. Like not like the same type of games, like everybody have the same guys, same type of playing. Like, you don't like to watch them. I think that's also another thing guys do good when they what they do the best, like what who they are, like that bringing that competition level, like in March. I think my opinion, I think, and also I don't think the one drop shot or he gets better in the drop shot is gonna help him in March to get the 2 good months. Maybe he can work on it, like when season done, they have more time, but I think still if it's not his identity, it still doesn't matter, I feel like. Because that which means only drop shot beats that player. So only drop shot player can beat that guy, but other players cannot beat that guy. I don't think that's the case.
So you think, I think we as a coach sometimes focus too much on figuring out the way,
Hmm.
so maybe change your play style or whatever it is, right? You think, I mean, that probably is also important, but you think it's more important for the guys to play their games and win. So our job is not to change their game so that they can make their opponent uncomfortable, but to give them an advice that make them play better. Okay, maybe for example, the guy is rushing, right? He's an aggressive player, but he's rushing, missing everything. Instead of saying, okay, use high balls, which he usually don't, he which he usually doesn't. Instead of saying that, instead of telling him that, should we say, okay, you're rushing, just relax, give the ball a little more shape, and put the ball back in, get
Or
the rhythm.
more. I think so. Yeah. I remember like last year we had a player that like really a heavy stroker. Like every like gets the ball really heavy, like flat. And like some days like he was missing everything. Everything. Like some match, like I say that match, like he was missing everything. Like the can find the margin. Sometimes like I feel like the mental like you just like calm him down, like hey man, it's okay. Like let's see what like maybe he's just so stressed out the head doesn't have focus to actually put it in. Um Sometimes that helps the player like hey like let's see. I mean it's yeah, we try to rush it too much and I feel like we try to finish the point too early before we actually build it. Let's just let's just like give ourselves a little bit margin. Okay, like we're hitting the ball, but I feel like we're aiming too much closer to line. Let's let's bring our margin a little bit, like a bigger margin. Like we will still hit hard. I think we should have stopped your hand, but let's bring the margin and let's see what we can do. What's next? Because instead of just changing it up two things, because you're already missing balls and also missing the way it is instead of changing two things, like changing one thing, it's like still swinging hard, but the margin like still feel like we're changing the margin instead of like couple things, like changing just one thing. Like I think in that tough moments, I think changing too many things is making more complicated than just like your focus, your margin. Okay, like, hey, let's instead of hitting to the like to go for a winner, I'm still swinging hard, but let's bring my margin a bit closer so I figure out and then I figure out later and like I build myself up to figure out, not like just changing all the time. I think like not things not gonna change like just one shot, it's just gonna change everything. You just figure out with just hitting one shot. I think that just slowly builds it up and get your level up slowly. Yeah.
I have one more question.
All right, last question.
What was the biggest mistake technically or strategically you were doing as a player?
Technically
Let me
that
let
I
me let me
that
give
I
you
learned when I was a kid.
as a player. Yeah, I mean, let me give you an example. So I think I play. To be honest, I play much smarter now when I practice against our guys,
Hmm.
because I realized that I was way overhitting from the baseline.
Hmm.
Like, yes, I am capable of maybe hitting winners with my forehand from the baseline, but I realized that it's just not sustainable, you know. Maybe it is sustainable for a whole match, 3 sets, but then if you think about college tennis, you have to play every weekend, and you know those risky style of play, you know, it feels good, but it doesn't really give you the consistency, you know. And now that I know that, you know, I feel like tennis is much easier. I just put the ball back in. When I see the chat, when I see a short ball, you know, I'm relaxed. I'm not trying to slap the crap out of the ball, you know.
Yeah.
So what did you do wrong as a player that you can do better now?
I think I wasn't the tallest guy. Yeah, like I'm not the tallest. Like of course, everybody has like deficiency, like the things like they have to make sure like they know like okay, I'm not the tallest. I don't have big shots. Like I cannot. I think like sometimes with my serve, I try to like ace or like, as soon as I start to hit, like try to go too fast. Like, okay, I'll try to hit hard. I always miss. Like I feel like always miss, and it just messed up my rhythm. And I remember like one time like Jaime was telling me that, dude, just like okay, just aim there. You don't have to hit it too hard. Just like, and my dad always like saying that, don't go first serve, don't go second serve, 1.5. Like go 1.5. Like go 1.5. You don't have to just go like full hard, like missing everything, or second serve just bump it in, or like so like go 1.5. I think that was number one thing that I was just like when I was doing other player, like just like first serve. I was missing a lot, like missing especially in doubles. Do you remember like as soon as I started not making first serves, like me losing my serve, like 100%. As soon as I'm making first serves, we're winning a lot because I had a good first volley. I had a good volley. I was like after the first serve, even though like it was an ace, if they make it, if I have the first volley coming in, I think we were winning points a lot. I think number one is the serve, and the second thing is like um going away from my fundamentals, which is like being tough, like okay, make balls.
Mhm.
I think I have to make balls. Like I have to get behind and then just make sure like I'm good at directions, like I'm making cross courts and then finding the waiting for the ball, like to be short and then aggressive. Like sometimes like okay, come on, man, you're not like you're not Hiroki, you're not gonna hit the bombs from the baseline and then win point. Like I never did that. I never been good at it, and I think sometimes I was keep losing that fundamentals. I've tried to just maybe that's it undisciplined. Like I was like, okay, try to hit it hard and expect to win. I was like, no, dude, you're not gonna win like that. You have to run, you have to get to the ball and make balls. Like make it tougher. Like you have to get behind it and make the guy play. I feel like that's equivalent to my shape, like how I feeling, my conditioning. I think like sophomore year I was in a really good shape, taking care of my body, like, and then junior year and everything, like I was like kind of like lacking a little bit with my shape, and then I started not making balls and losing points. Like of course I'm gonna lose points. Like I think that's what I think I had to focus all the time, like my physicality and then like just staying with the identity. I think that has to be because unless if I don't do that every day, like constantly all the matches, like I couldn't add anything top of it. Like
Mhm.
I couldn't add, for example, my volley that I do good in for let's say singles because if I don't put a ball in, there's no way I'm gonna do serve and volley as if like short guy like serve and volley all the time. There's no way. Like I'm not putty, I'm like 2 meters. Like yes, I have a good volley, but if I don't do that fundamentals, like I'm never gonna get to hit volley in the singles, like never. Uh, yeah, so that's the thing. I had to, I had to be make sure doing it because if I don't do this, I never could add another layer on top of my game, unless
Right.
I'm physical. I'm physical, like make balls. Yeah, Hiroki, that was good, man.
I
Did
feel like
actually,
we talk too much, huh? I feel like
yeah.
we definitely talk too much. We need some entertainment, we're gonna
No, I mean we figure out. We figure out. Like, this is the first
yeah,
episode.
I mean this is the first
Or,
episode. I'm
but
just, the plan for the next episode. I feel like, you know, for people who know us, it's it might be a bit entertaining, but I feel like some entertainment, not just talking, you know.
we've sort of figured out. We just kind of like let's. I don't know how long we talked today. I know probably like close to an hour. I don't know if they're gonna watch it until this, but I hope they do. But and then we just kind of maybe shorter, like less questions or more. And it's like depends on like I think depends on the people we have, like what they're gonna say. So now like we kind of today we interview both of us.
Yeah,
So next one we're gonna interview only one person. We both ask questions.
yeah,
Uh, and then that's gonna be short enough time, and then we add some entertainment, and then boom, boom, boom. We're gonna do good in this podcast.
yeah.
All right, Hiroki, that was a
Yeah,
pleasure.
done.
That was a pleasure. So next guest will be Andy and Vicky in our Thanksgiving reunion in Atlanta, Georgia, in our lake house. We're gonna celebrate our Thanksgiving. We're gonna do
We're
our
gonna have
re
a nice time, right?
yeah, we're gonna have a nice background. I'm just gonna maybe get some microphone, or we're gonna figure out. We're gonna do something nice that in that reunion with Vicky and Andy. We will our next guest. So
Yeah.
stay tuned. Stay tuned. They will be our next guest. All right. Thank you, Hirokinyo.
Okay, good.
Bye.
See you guys.